Welcome back, dear viewers, and to know more details about the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's speech in the BRICS Plus Summit, and to know more insights about it and how can Egypt benefit from the membership of the BRICS Summit, I'm delighted to have over the phone Mr. Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, the former Minister of Commercial. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and to the viewers.
I'm really delighted to have you over the phone with me in the breakfast show. And first of all, as you have definitely followed the BRICS summit and the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's speech in the summit, I would like to know what are the main topics that you followed and that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has tackled during the speech, also regarding the ongoing escalations that's taking place in the Middle East.
This is one of the most important venues to which President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is speaking, because it sheds light, and he sheds light on the developments and how it will destabilize the situation in all the Middle East. It is very important to garner international support to what Egypt is doing and what Egypt is saying, and this is very important, especially at this stage when it is continuing aggression on the Palestinians in Gaza. So we need to speak to the world, and he did it, and we need to explain, and he did it, and need also to garner support and for the Palestinians in their own land in Gaza.
Of course, Mr. Ambassador, also President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed on the importance of the South-South cooperation and its importance to face the current crises and the complex issues that we are witnessing in the world. How do you evaluate this cooperation, and how can it be beneficial to the world?
This is an important and really valuable cooperation between South and South, or let's say non-westernized countries of the world. You could say India, China, Brazil, South Africa, and major economic powers in the world now need to sit together and to work together to enhance peace and stability in the world. We are not depending in this respect on the Western powers or the United States, and we need to garner a coalition between these countries to face these aggression in Gaza and also in the Middle East, whether in Gaza or in Lebanon or in Syria or in other countries. And this is very important for the safe countries and also for the peace in the Middle East and also for Egypt, because we are neighbors with Israel, and it needs to be stopped. The aggression should be stopped as soon as possible.
Of course, Mr. Ambassador, also we have witnessed in this summit that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and also the Russian President Vladimir Putin, they came with a very aligned point of views. How do you think these views are serving the world in terms of collaborations or future agreements that might, let me not say confront the unilateral system, but to add more balance to the world?
Russia plays a very important role. Russia and China and India and of course South Africa and Brazil are playing a vital role in stabilizing situation in the world, so that it will not be homogenized or brokered only by the United States and its Western power. And so the South-South dialogue is very important, and Egypt is playing a role in this aspect, because we find that the finances, the loans, the political situations and political positions of countries are in a way influenced by the influence of the United States, and so we need to balance it by the influence and emerging countries like China, India, Brazil, Egypt, and South Africa, and other countries in Africa in this respect. So we are seeing now an emerging new power in the international arena, which will balance the hegemony of the United States and the Western Europe.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, taking from your words, you mentioned the new powers. I would like to ask this, in this summit, in BRICS summit, President Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has promoted for the multipolarity, this new concept, to add more balance to the world. And you also mentioned finance. How do you think the multipolarity could add more balance and could contribute in reforming the financial international system?
The world needs more than one polar.
Okay.
One pole. The world, not only Egypt. And that
Yes.
is why many countries are standing together now to support this multipolarity, and at the same time to create areas of cooperation between the countries of the South, which I mentioned earlier, China, India, Egypt, South Africa, and Brazil, and other countries of the world. And so it is badly needed at this stage, because for decades we are seeing the hegemony of the Western powers through the IMF and the World Bank, and now we need to balance it by creating our own cooperation system, which will, with time, it is a group now, maybe it will, with time, it will be another bloc, a strong bloc, not like the traditional blocks, but rather a cooperation bloc between the countries of the South, and this will be for the sake of the humanity and for the sake of peace and stability in the world, not only in the Middle East.
Yes, of course. Also in the BRICS summit, the leaders in general that were participating in the summit, and of course especially President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, stressed on the necessity of the clean energy and its benefits to the Egyptian market. So how do you think, or what agreements or collaborations that you anticipate could happen in the future, and it could happen with which countries from the participating countries in the BRICS summit?
Luckily, the President al-Sisi has met the heads of states of India, of China, and other countries in the world, and of Russia, of course. And some of these countries are big pollutants as far as carbon dioxide is concerned. And so the world, we are all breathing the same air in different ways. So we need to cooperate together to stop these emissions of carbon dioxide and toxic gases, and the world should agree on a roadmap for minimizing the emissions of these gases, and also for cooperation in creating green industries and green energy in these countries, because it's vital for the life of the people, for millions and billions of people in these countries.
Yes, Mr. Ambassador, also a very important point that is of the Egyptians and actually or the member states citizens interest is the support of the national currencies, the usage of the national currencies in trade among the member states of the BRICS summit. How do you think this could be beneficial to all the participating countries, and of course in particular to the Egyptian market?
This is an important step in the right direction. Dealing with our own currencies or the local currencies in international trade, which should and will replace dollar in trade between the countries. This will enhance trade, enhance investment, and at the same time make it easier for the many countries, especially developing countries in Africa, and Egypt is one of them, to increase trade transactions with other countries in the local currencies, and this will be beneficial for the trade, for the economy, and for economic development in the countries of the Middle East, in Egypt, and also in African countries who are looking to Egypt now as a leader in this respect, and we are doing our best to create a favorable environment for investment, for financial transfers, and also for economic development in these countries.
Regarding the economic development that you just mentioned, Mr. Ambassador, in the BRICS Summit Plus nations, it's important to also mention that the BRICS Plus nations include 45.2% of the global population. Of course, this is a huge consumer market. How can this be beneficial to the Egyptian market?
All the companies of the world are looking to their markets. When we have 45 or 46 of the consumers of the world in this market, this means that it's a big market. All the factories, all the companies will look to this big and enormous or giant market as a good opportunity for increasing cooperation, transfer of technology, transfer of capital and investment. And this is very important that we sit together, coordinate our economies together so that we benefit from this huge market, and at the same time we can force and enforce our own view as far as trade and investment is concerned, especially for the terms of trade and terms of investment and loans, which are big burden for the developing countries.
Of course, and this also comes in alignment with what the Minister of Planning and International Cooperation, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, she has mentioned earlier in the conference that was held last week, regarding that the government, the Egyptian government, is supporting the foreign companies that are performing inside Egypt. And this is a very important point in attracting more foreign investment. How do you comment on this?
This is a very important development to which Minister Rania Al-Mashat, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat has referred to, because Egypt needs investment and Egypt needs a transfer of technology, and we are paving the way for this by creating a favorable environment for foreign investors in Egypt, and that is why many of them are coming now and discussing with Egyptian officials, and also the Prime Minister himself, or the Prime President himself, has sat with the exporters and with the manufacturers to see what they need and what they want, and so that they can cope with their needs and to create a favorable environment for investing in Egypt, which is by itself is a big market of 110 million consumers.
Of course. Actually, aside from the cooperation with Western or European countries, also inside the BRICS summit, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is looking forward to more collaborations and cooperation with Arab countries. So how do you think this could be beneficial not only to the Egyptian market but to the Arab region in terms of the de-escalation of the ongoing events that are taking place in the Middle East?
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has portrayed in a clever way our needs and our challenges and how to face it. That is why he has gone to this summit of BRICS countries, where more than 26 countries were present, and so the world now is listening to the voice of Egypt and the voice of developing countries and the voice of peace and stability in the Middle East, and that is why we need to cooperate between these countries, not only with Western Europe and the United States, but there should be bilateral cooperation between Egypt and each one of these countries. And luckily, we have bilateral trade or multilateral trade agreements and economic cooperation agreements with many of these countries, but the umbrella now is big enough so that Egypt will launch initiatives with many of these countries as far as economy and investment are concerned.
Of course. And how do you think, Mr. Ambassador, some collaborations like, for example, the BRICS grain exchange can help create a fair and reliable price indicators for these products, and especially also the raw materials? This is a very important point, emphasizing its importance in maintaining food security.
In fact, many of the African countries, especially the African countries, and Egypt was one of it, are exporters of raw materials. When now we are in the transfer of technology and also of industry to these countries, will mean that we are adding the value, or there's a value addition to what we have, exporting it in semi-finished shape or half-finished shape, and not instead of exporting it in as raw materials. And this is very important for the local and for the national economies of the African countries. We need to create industries in our countries, whether for extraction or for transfer of materials, and that is very important as far as value addition is concerned, because the main beneficiary of this will be economies of the African countries, economy of Egypt and the Middle East and the Arab countries, who were for a while exporters of just petrol or raw materials. Now we are exporting it in another shape and another form of higher value.
Right. And last question, Mr. Ambassador, what messages do you think this summit, the BRICS summit, is holding to the whole world?
It is a message: cooperation instead of confrontation. This is very important. We need to cooperate with each other and with other blocs, by the way, only with all the Western states and with the United States and the European Union, because we need to create areas of interest and create new investment initiatives, and also encourage investing in these countries because there are vast resources which are underutilized until today. So we need to cooperate and increase the influx of foreign technology and the influx of the transfer of capital, so that we can make better use of the resources which we have, and they are abundant resources.
Thank you so much for the helpful insights, Mr. Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud. Ayoub, thank you so much for being with me, and I hope I could stay longer with you, but we will have an interview for long with you in the next period of time. Thank you so much. Now, dear viewers, it's time for a short break, and we will be right back in the Breakfast Show.